Hey there, welcome to another episode of Behind the Mask. I'm your host, Sarah Joy, your friendly neighborhood interrogator turned clone, helping you get to know who the person is behind the screen name. Tonight, we're chatting with Joe. You may know him from Flight Risk. Joe, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm on the Flight Risk podcast. I play a character named Bale Bronda. Bale Bronda is kind of a trigger happy, like pyromaniac type character, with a sense of humor and a heart of gold. Let's see a little bit about myself. I work
Mhm.
for a living. Specifically in the health insurance industry.
Oh,
Um,
fun.
oh boy, you don't know the half of it.
I project managed a project in healthcare and was like, this is terrible.
oh
So
boy, yeah,
I've had enough of the taste.
I work in enrollment and membership services,
Oh,
and it's
woo.
a journey. It's quite an experience that I've been kind of experiencing for the past almost going on like 10 years now.
That's so good.
Um, Besides that, juggling a family, and then
Mhm.
also trying to find time for myself, which is really tough right now.
Uh-huh.
Um, Especially like carving out time to like actually do stuff media production related. Um, so yeah, I mean, like, it's not that I'm a workaholic or anything. It's just that there's just almost zero free time in life right now. Everything's like super hectic. But hey,
Mhm.
everything's super fun. You just gotta take everything with a grain of salt. If you got lemons, make lemonade, stuff like that. And I could think of like a whole million other ways to put it, but that's pretty much it. But yeah, no, I mean, like, I'm a huge gamer. I love
Mhm.
PC games. Have been
Oh, sweet.
playing.
Okay.
Yes, I started off my gaming journey when I was like 2.5 years old, playing Super Mario Brothers, and then
Uh-huh.
switched over to PC when I lived in Palestine, and then
Oh,
haven't gone
wow.
back
Okay.
since. Yes,
Uh-huh.
have not gone back to well, actually, I did go back to console for a little while, and that was when
Mhm.
like PlayStation 1 was a thing, and that
Mhm.
was because
Yes.
like me and my cousin would like switch off between like being on the PC and being on the PlayStation. So but then I had my own, like, I purchased my first computer from Gateway when that was still a thing. And yeah,
Yes.
everybody remembers Gateway. Everyone remembers the only computer company with a cow
It
pattern
was
as a
brilliant
logo.
marketing. It was brilliant marketing,
It
and then
was. It
the
was.
computer showed up, and there was, like, cow prints that's not it, cow pattern, I don't know what it's called, on the
Yeah, yeah.
box.
Yeah, it
Like
was yeah, I remember that. And then like I just never went back from PC. Like I think the first console that I purchased after that was actually a PS4 that I got secondhand for like $100, and then I actually just bought an Xbox One X because
mhm.
having that as a media center and just having things work when you want it to work is
Yes.
just, it's priceless. So yeah, but I've on top of that though, like I've been playing like tabletop RPGs since I was 15. Been running games since I was like 17, and really haven't
Uh-huh.
gone back to actually being a player since college.
Oh,
So
really?
like when
So,
flight,
flight
yes.
risk is, like, your first foray back into being a player.
Uh I wouldn't say it's the first foray, but it was like the first time that I actually got to sit down and play a game
Uh-huh.
rather than like inheriting one or like running it myself because nobody else wants to run it. So
Right, right. I'm that terrible player who absolutely hates a DM. So, I always be
yeah,
like, "Oh, you like DMing, you can do that."
oh yeah, it's
Yep.
so like it's kind of like babysitting. It really is. Especially like when you finally get a group of friends and you're like, all right, cool. Let's play this game. This game is really cool. Let's play it. And then everyone's just like, well, who's gonna run it? Well, I don't want to run it. I don't want to run it.
Yep.
I just want to play it. I don't want to. dice. And I'm like, fine, I'll run it like I always do. Here we go. I'll see you in 2 weeks when I come up with some sort of like, something to start you guys off on. I'll come up with like 10 different plot hooks that none of you are ever going to follow. Like, oh yeah, it's a lot of fun. So like I actually started, like I got so sick of writing like plot hooks
Mhm.
that nobody would pick up on or follow that I just started,
Right.
yeah, no, that I just started literally just making open world sandboxes for people to play in. Like I
That's
found out
awesome.
that my players would spend more time talking to the local blacksmith than they would chasing after the dude that's like, I don't know, invading a city. You know what I mean? So, but I mean, like, I guess that's the fun. Like that's kind of
Oh yeah.
where improvising comes in.
Hmm.
I do improv comedy at the age of 18 to about the age of like 2021. I performed at a local coffee house. Then we created a troupe, played like a bunch of
Uh-huh.
different venues, like around the southwest suburbs of Chicago. And then, but like that experience was like invaluable for everything because being able to like improvise anything is
Oh
genius.
yeah.
Like it's hard to pick up. It's definitely hard being able to think on the spot, especially like if you're someone who likes to plan things. Um, but it also sometimes takes over your life where your entire life becomes this one big ball of random chaos where just like 1 minute you're like out with friends, the next minute that you decide to show up at somebody else's house for a party. There's just never anything on the agenda. So yeah, I mean like improvising was just invaluable as far as like, running games and stuff like that because you have 5 or 6 different players. Like my games are usually like 8 to 12 people. It's ridiculous.
Mhm.
I can't tell
That
people
is
no.
insane. We're gonna
Yeah.
have to talk a little later about how you manage that table.
Oh
So,
yeah, yeah. No, no, that's fine. I'm totally
mhm.
like taking over here, but I mean, like, do
No,
is there another
this is great
question?
for me because I'm like, Joe's just gonna answer all of my questions, and tonight I just get to sit back and drink my water.
Oh
I
no,
love
it's
this.
already a reputation of being like this motor mouth. Thanks, I appreciate.
Hey, I'm gonna play off of it. It's an absolutely wonderful thing for me. No, so like you said you
Oh,
got into gaming at 15, right? So like let's start there. What got you into gaming? How were you like
so
you were like hardcore on the console and you were like, but RPGs though.
so I started playing Magic the Gathering in the
Ah,
second
yes.
grade. In the second grade,
Mhm.
okay. So I'm sure everybody knows that at the time there's this little company called Wizards of the Coast that created
Mhm.
this the longest running TCG ever, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, a lot of people, especially like people who were born in like the 2000s or like the 2010s, well 2010s are probably too, they're probably not listening to this, but like the 2000s, like I want to say
But
late 90s.
uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
You're just hurting me a little bit, Joe, but continue
I'm
on.
sorry,
Continue
but
on.
Wizards of the Coast used to have stores and malls,
Yes, they
and
did.
they used to sell everything. They used to sell Dungeons and Dragons. They used to sell GURPS. They used to sell Shadowrun. They sold everything. And each store that I've ever been to was massive. So that they'd have Friday Night Magic. They'd have like like everybody knows their friendly local gaming shop, right? Like your FLGS. Everybody knows about that stuff nowadays. But the FLGS back in the day was the Wizards of the Coast store.
Mhm.
Even though it was like that's when like I think Hasbro actually bought it after they had stores out.
Okay.
Yeah, so like I walk in there one day to buy Magic the Gathering cards because I want to get back into Magic the Gathering. All of a sudden, like I became friends with all the guys that used to work at the store. They're like, "Hey, you play
You?
D?" Yeah, me. Oh,
That's
yeah,
surprising.
yeah, right. They're like, "Hey, we
Right.
run this like D&D game, da da da. You should play with us." And I was just
Mhm.
like, "Sure, what is it?" And like they handed me a player's handbook, like create a character, dude. I was just like, "All right, fine." So like I'm reading through the rule book, and I was just like, "Wow, this is really cool. I could create a character and be whatever I wanted to be." this is great. So like I bought like the player's handbook, I bought the DM's guide, I bought I
Hmm.
think this was at the time 3.0, D&D 3 like third edition.
Yeah.
Bought like some like AEG like third party content because at the time AEG used to publish third party content for D&D. Like I bought this mercenaries book, I bought whatever, right? And I literally spent weeks just creating nothing but characters because that was so much fun to me. And then I actually started
Hmm.
playing the game, and like that's when I just got hooked. I was just like, I need this in my life. This needs to stay in my life.
Yes.
This can't go anywhere anymore.
So, do you remember what your first character was?
So my first, oh my god, my first character was a an elf paladin, female elf
Okay.
paladin,
Uh-huh.
and that character was promptly killed off in the second session when um I thought there was a thing called plot armor. I decided to run into an entire town of goblins and try to just kill as many as possible. You know, the normal thing that first time
Murder
players want to do,
hobo.
just
Right.
murder. Like, hey, I'm this lawful good
Right.
paladin. These are all
Yes.
goblins. They're
I'm the
evil. Let's kill
hero.
them. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So like, I got knocked out. They dragged me to an altar and they sacrificed me and another character. So, two characters died that day.
And you
But I'll
learned a
never
very
forget it.
important lesson about life, right?
Yes, yes. That hey, your characters are not invincible. You may be the hero of the story, but you're not invincible, buddy. I'm sorry.
Yep. Yep.
Um, so yeah, that
That's
was my first character.
great. Oh, I love that so much. So you at 15 get introduced to Dungeons and Dragons to all these friends that you made in like 30 seconds for walking into the store. You learn the very important lesson that yes, your character
Yes.
can die, which of course translates over into life. Running into a town of goblins, never good in life.
Never, never,
So,
never. No, never,
oh
never
my
good.
god, I love that. So
Uh,
I'm curious with that, like you've learned that running into a goblin town is a terrible idea. What other lessons have you learned from gaming, especially RPGs?
so God, I have I have so much experience with this. There's a lot of lessons that I
Yes,
learned.
yes.
I was into LARPing for a little while. I did
Awesome.
a Vampire the Masquerade.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And there's still this organization, but it's called One World by Night.
Mhm.
And um, at first it was really cool. Like I loved it. It was great. It was like you can go to a different city every day, play your same character in these different cities. And I was like, I think 19 or 20 at the time, and I would just like if I wanted, like there was like two different games, like in like three different games in Chicagoland area, you could just go from game to game to
Mhm.
game. And if you wanted, Kenosha had a game too, Kenosha, Wisconsin, so I drive up to Kenosha to play my character. So what one lesson that I really learned from RPGs is what kind of crowds are drawn in by certain games.
Okay, tell me
And
about
yeah,
that.
so old One World by Night. This is prior to. This is back in. Oh my god, that is. She's growling. My daughter is growling.
Oh, your daughter.
Um, yeah,
I
did
was
you not
like,
hear
are
that?
your dogs growling? I
Yeah, did you
did.
hear that?
I
She she
did.
goes Super Saiyan. Like she goes Super Saiyan. And she'll like clench her fists and then like have them off to her side and go.
What is
Um,
that little baby from the Incredibles? Jack Jack?
Yeah, yeah. I
There,
don't
you
know.
have a Jack
I
Jack.
don't. God, I haven't seen that movie in years.
Oh,
So
yeah.
long, so long.
Two is even better.
Oh my God, yeah, yeah. Having two of them, it's crazy. Crazy experience, but a lot of fun. But
Mhm.
so I noticed back in you know like how how do I say this, right? I don't want to say that like Vampire the Masquerade can draw in certain types of personalities and certain types of people, right? There you have
Mhm, mhm,
certain people who know it's a game, right? Like they play it as a
mhm.
game, like, hey, my character wouldn't be okay with this, so like we're not going to be friends in game. Is that cool? And be like, yeah, that's fine, that's cool. That's we can be rivals. That's all right. And then there were people who could not separate their characters from their personal relationships.
I feel
And
like that's true across a lot of things like World of Warcraft work, Muggle work, right?
no, I want to say that that's true, but like
Is it a
at
little,
least
did
in
it
this,
feel a little more intense
it
in
was
that?
a lot more intense. And
Okay.
especially like it got to a point where certain people would come to certain games to
Mhm.
basically harass certain people that they certain
Oh.
players and certain people that they didn't like in particular, right?
Oh.
Because it was really really disturbing. And after that, after seeing like how those certain personalities would ruin an entire game for certain people, that's when I realized,
Mhm,
okay, well, like I think I'm just gonna stay at tabletop, because it's a much
mhm.
more controlled environment. Because like at these LARPs, they weren't just like 10 or 15 people. Chicago LARP at its heyday had like 150 people show up to
Whoa.
one place. Yes. And like Kenosha, like 60, 70, 80 people would show up in one place. And
Mhm,
it was really, so like it was really like awesome. But at the same
mhm,
time, there were personalities that just really mess things up. It really ruined the
mhm.
experience, especially like certain personality types that just couldn't separate the game from real life. Like, oh
Right.
man, you killed my character, dude. Sorry, but you can't come to my barbecue on Saturday. I don't want to see you ever again. And I'm gonna spread these lies and rumors about you like all over the place. Like, it got that bad.
So, like, having that experience, how did that, like, shape how you behaved in, I don't wanna say real life because this is all real life, right? In how you believed it or behaved in, like, the wider world and how you behaved in tabletop?
So I want to say like it helped me identify people that would fit in the types of games that I would play, that I would run. And it helped me kind of determine who, like it helped me. And so let me actually just side step here.
Sidebar.
Yeah, sidebar, because there's a lot of things that go along with that. I
Mhm,
am Arab, right? Palestinian. There is
mhm,
a very very um we're very very social etiquette people, right? There's a
mhm.
certain etiquette that you need to follow when you go to somebody's house. There's a certain way that you treat people, right? There's a certain way,
Right.
um and reputation is huge. Like, reputation is as important to you as anything else in the world when
Mhm,
it, like in Arab society, Arab culture. So now with that being said, it was already ingrained into me, especially when I lived overseas in Palestine, that any bad thing that would happen to that you would do is going to come back to you faster than you can get back to the house, right?
Oh, yeah.
Everything always comes back. You just don't know when it's going to hit, but it'll hit. So I
Mhm,
already had that ingrained in my head, that where, okay, cool. Like, how I may act in this circle will reflect on me in different other circles, because people are interconnected, right? People talk. Not that so I've always, so like that experience, right? Like the LARPing experience,
mhm,
it made me think about how people perceive me, right? Like, am I vindictive? Am I, like, am I a horrible person? Like, am I a bully? Right.
mhm.
And having that, already ingrained in me, and then also that added layer of experience in LARPing,
Uh-huh.
it really made me think like, hey, I can't be a jerk to people. Like I can't be mean to people. Like I shouldn't be this way to people. And then like, it took me and I had to like actually change it, like kind of craft my behavior, right? Like I had to like make
Okay.
sure, yeah, like I had to like make sure that I am being inclusive, I'm being friendly, I am trying to create as many bridges as possible between people and never to
Mhm.
really just like downtrod on anybody, right? I mean, like I do have like a close circle of friends where like, we'll sit there and we'll make fun of each other. That's just how we act
Mhm.
with each other, right? But I'd never take that behavior and then throw it at people who, you know, don't like that sort of thing, right?
Right.
Um, so like, yeah, so I mean, I guess like LARPing in general, kind of like that LARP experience really just helped me um kind of, I want to say, be a better person, like what not to do,
Mhm.
right? See these
Right.
things in front of you. Okay, cool. Mental note. Maybe I shouldn't like sit there and curse somebody out for like killing my character and then burning all bridges between that person and their friends because this character that was near and dear to me was just killed by that player, right?
Right.
Uh, so like yeah yeah, there was a lot to learn, um especially coming from like two different cultures, right? Because like I was born and
Mhm.
raised in the US. I
Mhm.
lived in Palestine for 4.5 years, and rules between the social etiquette rules between the US and like living in a Middle Eastern country are two way different rules, right? Like
Yes.
two different way different sets of rules. So like, coming back with shell shock, so I had to relearn like all the social etiquette and all the social programming I had in the US, uh, you know, after my experience in the Middle East. And so like, yeah, it's just that it helped me a lot in being able to adapt and actually just kind of flow into whatever circles like I felt,
Mhm.
were interested in, like that I felt connected to.
That's
So yeah,
awesome.
that's a lot. That's a lot. And I feel like I was just rambling there, but that's just
No,
how.
no, no. Right. I feel like there were so many nuggets of wisdom in that, Joe. So my roommate my freshman year and still a good friend of mine is Palestinian, and she like her coming to the US happened a week before we started our freshman year of college.
Oh boy, talk about some
Yes,
shell shock.
I know. I know. So there were a lot of conversations in the room about trying to figure out how to like be respectful and not be our typical rude selves. So
Oh yeah,
we
so
kept
like you already kind of
saying
got like firsthand
respect
knowledge of just
and
like, hey,
yeah.
yeah, like you probably shouldn't do
So I'm
them
sitting
thing,
here like nodding, oh yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
It's
Sherry knew everything going on campus too. So if you ever wanted to know anything,
oh my god,
oh,
yeah.
it was
I
the
mean, like
best.
living overseas, like the entire, like, cause
Mhm,
like out there, you're not just a household, right? You don't have just a house. You have the
mhm,
house, and then everybody in that town knows who you are, who your family is, who your dad is, which is the most important thing. Like, who's your dad? I'm gonna tell your
mhm.
dad. So if you even thought about doing something wrong, like people in my town were literally better at information gathering and spreading than the frickin' CIA. Because whatever, even if you were thinking about causing trouble, that was already back to your mother and your
Mhm.
dad like 15 minutes ago. They already know. People are watching. They're like, oh yeah, that's so and so's kid. Oh yeah, I'm gonna tell his mom. I'm gonna pick up the phone. So yeah, like it was a very gossip heavy, is a very gossip
Mhm.
heavy and very like, and that goes back to the whole reputation thing, right? Like you need to maintain your reputation because everybody talks to everybody. Um So yeah, like and then like you come to the US and it's just like, okay, well, we're so like spread out that yeah, all
Yep.
right, whatever. It happens. But like
You
in
have
my
to
head,
be in a very small town for it to happen.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Yep. Yep. So I was laughing too. My brother and I live 10 miles apart, but we're in the country, and word travels very fast out here as well.
yeah, did you hear what Sarah did?
I know, I know. My tree guy lives on his street and is friends with his across the street neighbor who probably knows everyone within 20 square miles. So
Yeah, yeah,
stuff
yeah.
travels very quickly.
Oh yeah, yeah. The game of telephone.
Oh
Game
man,
of
yeah.
telephone, I'll tell
And
you.
cell phones have made it so much worse. Can't get
Oh
away
yeah,
with
yeah, they
anything.
have. Yes, they
Yep.
have. Well, I mean, like as I said, like I like back in the because I lived over there from like in the late 90s to
Uh-huh.
the early 2000s and
Yeah,
you
she
know,
came
like
over
the CIA
2001.
could have learned a thing or two from people that were in my town. Because I swear to God, there was not 1 ounce of thing. There was like never a moment where anybody wasn't watching what you were doing. Especially
Mhm.
being like an American, like American born and bred, living
Oh,
in a
yeah.
or you know your country of like origin, right? Like because I am Palestinian, I'm 100% Palestinian, and like coming
Mhm.
back, it was or like going to Palestine was quite an experience. Except I went to an Arab American school, so like everybody
Okay.
spoke English. Yeah, so like
Right,
I
that wasn't
wasn't
too
like
bad.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So it wasn't so like the shell shock wasn't too bad, right?
Uh-huh.
So yeah, so like I was surrounded by things that were familiar to me. It wasn't just like, oh yeah, my dad was like, yeah, you need to like my parents was like, yeah, we're gonna go live overseas and nothing you can do about it, and you're gonna be
It's
tossed into
like,
this foreign
"Okay,
nation.
great."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, there was a lot of familiarity because I was surrounded by
Mhm.
people who were kind of in a similar situation where we're all
Oh,
kids
nice.
going back to
Mhm.
our country of origin trying to figure out what it actually means to be a Palestinian. Like what are you, right?
Mhm.
Um and I mean like and at the time like you go back to like the 90s and let me even go further than that. When I was like 4 years old, 3 years old,
Uh-huh.
I was infatuated with flags. Don't ask me why. I just loved flags. I loved seeing the designs on flags. And
Mhm.
then like, you
They're
know,
amazing geometric shapes, and they're colorful, right?
yeah, exactly. Like 3 or 4 years old, that's just freaking fascinating, right? Like, and then one night I was just looking at flags and I'm drawing them like, and I'm just copying them in like on a piece of paper and just drawing them
Mhm.
myself and coloring them myself. I was like, Mom, what, like, what are we? And she's just like, oh, we're Palestinian. And I was just like, so what's the name of our country? And she's like, oh, it's Palestine. I was, and I at the time I had like an Encyclopedia Britannica,
Mhm.
and
Oh,
I'm looking through
yeah.
the flags,
In
and
the
I didn't
90s.
see, yeah, I didn't see a Palestinian flag in the Britannica. I was just like, well,
Mhm.
you know, our flag's not in this book. Like, are you sure? Like, we're not like Iraqi, we're not like, you know, from Iran. She's like, no, we're Palestinian. I was like, oh, okay, and that experience kind of stayed with me because,
Mhm.
you know, and now I understand like why my parents decided, and it wasn't just me. Like my first cousins actually came along and lived with us,
Oh,
right?
nice. Yeah.
So yeah, so like as I was like I was saying before the interview, like me and like my cousins, my two first cousins were closer to each other than me and my little brother, and it's literally
Mhm.
because we have a very shared experience.
Right.
We have
Yep.
shared experiences,
Mhm.
and well, not only that, but he lives in my little brother lives in California, and I barely ever get to see him. So,
Right.
um, but yeah, so like, what was I saying? So like, then now I understand what the wisdom was behind us going to Palestine was to
Mhm.
figure out like who we are because it's not something that you could actually learn being away from it. Um,
Mhm.
that's Yeah, yeah. So that's about as far as I can go with that. But I do have some other interesting stories about there, but those are really trauma related, and I probably don't want to share them.
Okay,
I'm not on
that's
this. So.
fine. We'll talk about those later. We'll talk about those later because Sherry had a lot to share as well. So it was also really cool. Like this is, you know, my experience like starting to find out more about that culture and just understanding like there's a giant displaced people like trying to hold on to their country. It was a perspective that I never had. So it's really cool, and probably also it was very scary and very hard to head over there and learn what that was to be very firsthand in a place that is in so much turmoil, you know.
Oh
So thank you
yeah.
for sharing what you shared. Like,
Oh yeah, yeah. Not a problem.
mhm.
Like it was a great experience. It was, when people ask about it, I say it was dangerously interesting. A
Oh yeah,
dangerously
okay. I feel
interesting
like that
experience.
is a great way
Um,
to describe that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because I lived there up until I think I want to say like the first 3 weeks of the Intifada. So
Oh wow. Okay.
yes,
Yeah.
the second one.
Okay.
And
Okay.
that's when like at that point the embassy called us, the US embassy was like, hey, you guys need to get out.
Right.
It's not safe there anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I did want to say that yeah, it was a dangerously interesting experience. And
Mhm.
you know what? I'm not going to complain about it either because when college time came around and I needed a language requirement, well, all I needed to do was like call my old principal and be like, hey, do you think you could, send me a language requirement waiver? You're like, yeah, sure, no
Mhm.
problem. So and I got my degree because that was the only thing that I actually ended up graduating a year after I had been out of school because they held back my degree because of a language
Oh.
requirement. They're like, hey, you didn't take any Spanish or Japanese or anything like that, so we can't
You're like,
graduate you. I was just like, excuse
but I
me.
speak Arabic. Yeah.
Yeah, like I could read, write, speak Arabic quite fluently. Do I need to take a
Mhm.
test for it? Like, well, yeah, you need to take a test. I was like, can I just send over my transcripts from overseas or like some sort of
Mhm.
a letter from my old school saying that I know the language? We're like, well, yeah, that'll work too. So like, yeah, I just had them send a letter and bam, got
Oh my
my
gosh.
degree like 3 weeks later.
Nice. So you
So
graduated, but
yes, yes.
yep,
But it took
yep.
like I still walked, right? Like I still was
Yeah.
like I still walked for my
Mhm.
graduation ceremony. So like it wasn't like I didn't graduate in everybody's eyes. I'd already graduated, but I knew
That piece of
personally,
paper, that silly piece of
yeah,
paper,
yeah, you
right?
need that silly
Yep,
piece of paper. So
you
like I was like,
do.
hey, Miss Hanan, do you think you could like send this paper for me? And she's like, oh, yeah, sure, no problem. So just sent it over. So yeah. Fun
Yeah.
stuff. Fun stuff.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I'm gonna you are doing an awesome job interviewing yourself, so I super appreciate that. I'm
Oh
gonna
yeah, not a
also
problem.
I'm gonna also switch over to some really good questions that we have in the chat too. And I
Oh boy, I forgot
yeah,
there's a chat.
there's
There's
a chat.
a chat. Oh no. Oh no. Oh Lord.
Yeah, they did not like how the Vampire Masquerade people were. And those are the people that you had the experience with. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But there's also like a thread of questions. Don't look at it. Don't worry. I'll curate them. It'll be fine.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
Like I was
that's
saying
fine.
earlier, like the goal is to get your first reaction because like I feel like that's generally the most genuine thing instead of like preparing something like and
Oh
like
yeah,
you're
for sure. Yeah, no, that's
right.
understandable. Like you don't
Yeah,
really get a very when an answer is like prepared, like you don't really get to like this person had time to think about it and like they can pretty
right.
much just say anything. I can understand that, right? Like wanting
Right.
to have a prepared answer for everything, but like if you really want to get to like the bottom of how somebody feels about something, it's better to just ask on the spot. So
Exactly, exactly. And like the whole goal of Behind the Mask, like when I proposed this to Mark now, like oh my gosh, like a year and a half ago, was so that everyone can get to know everyone else and like talk to like find out that we're all humans behind these screen names and that we have a lot in common and we have a lot of different experiences that we all come to go together over like a thing that we love, which for most people it's Star Wars, for most people it's also RPGs, and whatnot, and just really like finding that common
like I know
ground
there's probably
and
going to be
genuine.
some Star Wars related like questions in there. So I'm just gonna
Oh,
get
we'll have
it
to.
like
Oh yeah, there
yeah.
is. It's
So
all from
so
Andrew. I just
yeah,
looked
so I'm
down.
going to say this right now. When I was a kid, absolutely loved Star Wars. As an
Uh-huh.
adult, like I don't love Star Wars at all. Except for like the stories where it's about, you know, normal people in the Star Wars universe, right? Like
Hmm.
Rogue One is my absolute favorite film out of all of them because it's not about Jedi kung fu like choreographed fighting. It's about like, hey, there's this team of like rebels that needs to do something really extraordinary with the limited amount of resources they
Hmm.
have. And I'm not gonna spoil it for everybody, but but
Yeah.
like yeah, it was my favorite out of all the films because it wasn't about the Jedi. I am so sick and tired of Jedi versus Sith that like whenever it's like, yeah, I got a lightsaber, they go, frick you, man. I don't care. Take your lightsaber and
Yep.
put it somewhere away from me. Yeah, but like I was like I got so sick and tired of like the whole like wire fu um like Jedi versus Sith thing because it's just so overdone. It's like Marvel, right? Like
Hmm.
Marvel, and I was actually talking about this on Twitter the other day, and I cannot stomach Marvel films anymore.
Oh,
Because
interesting. Tell me more.
yeah, because and it was like in response to what's that director's name? He did Gangs of New York and
Oh,
Martin Scorsese, right? Like
oh,
Martin
okay, yeah.
Scorsese, yeah, Martin Scorsese was just like, yeah, it's like basically like toy film, right? Like or something like that, like action figures, stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. Like amusement park films, right? Amusement park films, and I actually tend to agree with them on that because, and I don't blame him for his answer. It's not that I don't like the Marvel films. It's just that you ask the guy who did movies like Goodfellas and Gangs of New York, super serious films, super artsy films with amazing acting and amazing writing, right? About something that Marvel pumps out every single month. Every single month, there is a new Marvel movie or a new Marvel TV show. And it's like, it was great when
Oh,
you
it's
maybe had
Disney,
like,
man. They've got it. They've got that
yes,
formula
yes.
down.
Well, they have a formula down, and that's the problem,
Hmm.
right? There's no room to deviate from the formula. You have bad guy, you have, hey, here's these superheroes. Great, they're superheroes. Hey, here's this villain. What's the villain trying to do? Take over the world or destroy the world, right? And what happens at the
Right,
end? One character may go missing or die, right? There's always that little like okay, we need to knock off a character, let's kill off a character. And then
right. Who
they
can we
save
kill
the
this
day,
time?
and then,
Hmm.
oh look, new ominous villain in the background. It's the
Yep.
same thing for every single Marvel film and television show. And and I can understand where Martin Scorsese and how he feels about it, right? I can understand that. Um, the worst thing you could have, especially with something so dynamic and so like different when you go from character to character in the Marvel universe, right? Is to create one formula that you know that works and replay it over and over and over and over again. It was great when there was like maybe one or two films every 2 to 3 years. That's great. That's fine. That's digestible. But if there's a new thing every single month, like I'm sorry, there are so many things out there that I could be doing, right? Playing video games that I've never played before. There could be
Hmm.
like new movies, television shows that I know I'd be interested in, want to watch, that isn't Marvel related, right? I don't have the time to digest all that content. I don't want to live in the
Mm.
Marvel Cinematic Universe. I want to consume that content, but not at the rate in which they are putting it down on my plate, right?
It feels like it loses some of that shininess, that specialness. I just dropped in the chat. I'm absolutely laughing. So though I love Star Wars very much, like I see its faults, and to me it's like space opera. This is how one,
Yeah,
family screwed up the galaxy, right?
yeah, pretty much.
So, but like Marvel, it's the same thing. We've reached a point now where like it's no longer special. You're no longer waiting until two Christmases now for another movie, or like decades for another movie. So it's kind of lost that shine, that specialness, that
Yeah, because
what
like,
I feel
and
like we had.
yeah, I agree with you 100%. That's another point that I wanted to make, was that the first couple movies, right? Like, let's just say, for let's play devil's advocate. Let's say the first 7 Marvel MCU movies that came out, right? It was
Mhm.
something new. It was something we
Right,
had
right.
never
We were
seen
all
before.
there, exactly. And they all connected, mind blown. Right?
Yes, yes. They, yeah. Wow, the special effects on this, amazing. Like,
Mhm.
my God, they're going with this arc, amazing. That's great. It was great the first 7 times, but now
Right.
it's the same thing over and over and over and over
Yeah,
again.
this is where I like that it felt like WandaVision broke the mold, though it returned to it in the last couple episodes, right?
Yeah,
No spoilers. I'm trying real hard not to do spoilers on this, but like
I haven't even
that
watched
was a
it. I haven't
different
even watched
story.
it.
Oh, you
I haven't
haven't?
even
Okay.
watched it. No, no,
Yo,
no.
that one
Absolutely.
to
I
me was
think
a different story. I would, but everything else is that hero formula. And like when we look into storytelling and stuff like that, it's like there's something like only 36 or 37 plots,
Oh
right?
yeah, exactly. Oh no, you're absolutely right about that. Like
But
the last
we're hitting
Marvel
the same
film,
plot. We're hitting the
yeah.
same plot.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's the same plots over and over. Like I was saying, like, here's your team of heroes. Great. Let's get the band back together. Great. Oh, look, there's a supervillain. We need to fight the supervillain. Okay, cool. Which
Mhm.
character's gonna die? All right, we're gonna kill off this character. And then we beat the baddie, right? And then,
Mhm.
oh look, new baddie in the background. Ooh, ominous.
I
And
love the new baddie in the background. That's
yeah.
cracking me up, by the
Oh yeah,
way.
yeah. New baddie in the background. Oh
Yeah.
man, because we can't end this ever, right?
Right. This
Actually, the
must
last 2 movies that I've seen Marvel related was Black Widow by accident,
go.
or by fiat, because I was at my sister-in-law's place, and my cousin just happened to be watching it, so I kind of like passively watched it. It was like, oh look, action film, yay. And then before that, it was Enter the Spider-Verse. And the only
Oh,
reason
yeah.
why I watched Enter the Spider-Verse, and that's the one with that's the animated one where they all like they get all the
It is
different
the animated
Spider-Mans.
one.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
The reason why I watched that was, one,
Okay.
Miles Morales, and two, it's different. Like, we've never seen all the Spider-Mans or all the Spider people in the same film together, right? And that was something new. And even though it might, and it also I think that was a Sony film as well. So like Sony has like this different like film philosophy where they just keep rebooting things and never really move anything forward, which
Mhm.
I'm also sick of.
Well, so there's a copyright thing that's actually happening with that. And in order to retain the copyright, they have to have something new every 20 years. So
Yeah, yeah. So
we're
like,
just suffering for it.
yeah, but it was something interesting, right? Like,
Mhm.
it actually actively drew me in, and I think it was like one of the best Marvel films I've ever seen. But yeah, again, that was a Sony thing, right? Like, that's not
Right,
Disney's
because Sony
MCU.
owns Spider-Man. Yeah.
Yes. So like, yeah, or like, I totally, totally, absolutely loved all the Netflix Marvel shows. Because it's something different, right? Like, it's like
Oh,
when
yeah.
Disney didn't have creative control over it, and
Hmm.
like we got to see nitty and gritty Daredevil. We got to see Punisher at his most brutal. Like, we got to see things that we wouldn't, like, they turned
Yeah.
Marvel from being, hey, how are we going to get the kids hooked on our next line of action figures, to like, wow, this is serious filmmaking.
Right.
And I
And
guarantee you,
Jessica
if
Jones is one of my favorite series of all time, the
yeah,
first season.
yeah, Jessica Jones
Hmm.
was fantastic, right?
Hmm.
Like, these shows were, and don't hate me for this, but I did like what was the show that everybody hated. It was, I can't even remember the
Oh
character's
my
name.
God,
Oh my
yes.
god, yeah,
Was
it
it
was
Iron Fist?
Iron Fist. Yes, I am. I loved it. I
Yes.
wanted to see like where it was gonna go, and it was
Oh,
like, yeah, we're gonna cancel this.
I
Um,
had to I had to stop watching it after 4 episodes, so I might go back to see if it gets better.
I liked it. It might not have been the greatest of like that entire like show like running of shows, but it was
Mhm.
definitely something. It was definitely like it was. I want to say consumable, right? Like you could like I was able
Yeah,
to see.
absolutely, absolutely, yeah. I'll
Um,
finish it up. Well, Luke Cage is a great example
Luke
too,
Cage was
right? That was
fantastic.
a
Like
different story. That was a different story from a different perspective that, like, we typically don't get to see on TV.
yeah, and like I liked the fact that that the Netflix series themselves or series is blah blah blah
Mhm.
blah. They were more down to earth, right? Like it wasn't
Right.
like, yeah, we're gonna go stop what was it? Not apocalypse, Thanos, right? Thanos snaps his fingers, everybody dies, everybody like half the like entire galaxy, like the universe's population just dies in a snap of a finger, right? And then like it was more down to earth. It was a local story. It was like,
Mhm.
hey,
Right. It was
Daredevil is this.
neighborhoods.
Yes, it was a more
Mhm.
local story. Like Daredevil isn't out there fighting this universal threat to the existence of everything, right? Um,
Mhm.
that's what I liked about it. It was just like, hey, we have this small thing of stories here that we want to keep down to earth, make as gritty and as like as interesting as possible, and let's just focus on this area.
Yeah.
Like Daredevil's whole like, hey, I'm gonna clean up Hell's Kitchen. Forget everything
Well,
else.
like,
Hell's Kitchen is my domain.
right. Think about how comics started too. This is where I get real nerdy, y'all. Think about how comics started too. Like Superman was in Metropolis, Batman was in Gotham City. Like everything was very self-contained, and it wasn't I need to save this giant universe, because the superheroes then could feel personal to you.
Yeah,
Like you could be in New York City Metropolis, we all know that. Gotham City, also New York City. And like walking down the street and like Superman could fly by, Spider-Man could hop down, Daredevil, you're in
exactly.
Hell's Kitchen, like you could be saved. They're
Yep,
making your street safe.
yep.
So
And that's
Gotham
that.
is Pittsburgh. I don't think Gotham is Pittsburgh, Mark. Sorry, I just
Actually,
saw that.
I think Gotham's original design was, well, I don't want to say original design, but I tend to
Is
think of it
it?
more of as like Chicago than anything else because
I feel,
Chicago
yeah, I feel
Gothic
like,
has a lot of Gothic
yeah.
architecture attached to it, and a very I want to say a good history of Gothic, you know, architecture. Yes, that's the word. You had
Yeah.
questions from the chat. I
Yeah.
totally sidetracked.
No, that's all right, because you and I can go on this for a long time. I thought they were both New York too, Dwayne, so I'm reading the chat too at the same time. Everyone has a different opinion of where these cities are, but like that's the best part of like all of these cities, right? Is we can personalize them. And we
Yeah,
can be like,
yeah,
it's my city, they're here like in another world, like in another universe. Superman is here and he's like almost here in this universe, kind of
oh
thing.
yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah, except for Florida. We don't talk about Florida. You'll
well,
never
no,
have
we
it. Yeah,
don't.
yeah, yeah. We don't talk about Florida.
We love all of you who are from Florida
Yes, yes, we do.
and who
You're all
currently
great.
reside there. Yes.
And one day I'm going to write a comic called Florida Man, and we'll
Oh
see
my
where that
gosh, yeah.
goes.
Florida man gives me life, so yeah.
I love
Um,
how all these ridiculous articles about ridiculous thing happens, like like this ridiculous
it
stuff that
just makes me
happens
happy.
always starts with Florida Man.
Right. It's the best trope out there, though. I'm here for Florida Man every time. My former homicide partner, he and I are still very good friends. We're both in
Yeah.
IT now, so go figure. Talk about trauma. But like he'll send me the Florida Man articles all the time, and I'm like, yeah, this is my love language, is Florida Man.
Florida Man sticks fork in electrical socket and finds out what happens.
Yes. Oh my God, I love that so much. I just have to share this aside from Kyle. Kyle says that his wife played a paladin named Florida Man, Mann, and the character was nuts.
Ah,
That's
yes.
amazing. Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
I think. Wait. Kyle G, right? Kyle Gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, he talked about that. I still want to know if that character's still alive or not.
I feel like the character would have to be resurrected a lot. There's a lot of resurrection. I would
Oh
think.
man, cure moderate wounds isn't going to be enough for this one.
No, no. We're like, you gotta have a 300 gold piece diamond at all times. So, oh my God, I love it. Okay, we're gonna go to chat questions. We've got 9 minutes. Uh Kyle says, sadly, I wasn't able to kill the character off, much like every Florida man in the news.
Oh
Right.
no!
Oh,
They always
all
come back. They always come back.
right. Andrew's queuing us for lightning round. So here's how lightning round works, and this might be a struggle for you, my friend.
Yes.
Um, I'm going to rapid fire these questions, and you are going to answer them in 1 to 2 sentences.
Oh
Are
my
you ready?
god, you did not tell me about this challenge. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. I'm ready. Not
Well,
ready, but
usually,
ready.
this it's you got me off on comics
I
and
know. I'm
how Star
sorry. I'm
Wars was
sorry.
one family ruining the
I'm
universe.
so
Like, I'm here to talk
sorry.
about that. All right. We know how you got into RPGs, which was one of Mark's questions. What was your favorite character team mashup on Flight Risk?
Oh, um, you know
Is that
what?
one sentence? What?
That's a tough one. There was a lot of
Mm,
team mashups on there,
uh-huh.
and they were all amazing. I can't. Yeah, I'm sorry, and I know Kyle. This is probably a question from Kyle, but or is it Kyle or who?
I think it
Yeah,
was Mark. Mark is what I've
Mark.
got.
Yeah, Mark. I'm so
Oop,
sorry, but
hold on. We've got a little
I
echo
can't give
from
you an.
Andrew.
Yeah, there is a little bit of echo. I can't give you the answer to
I
that because there
fixed
were
it.
so many great combinations.
Great. You know what? That's good. Don't, yeah, I muted Andrew. Don't don't pick. Then you can tell them later. You were actually my favorite. I love that. Is there anyone who hasn't been on Flight Risk that you'd like to team up with for a season?
Anybody on flight? I'm getting a lot of like echo, and it's
Oh,
tough to
still?
concentrate. Yes. Oh, wait. There we go. There we go. It's
Okay.
done.
All right.
Um, on Flight Risk, team up. Actually, I would love to team up with our resident Brits,
Uh-huh.
Adam and Adam and oh my god, he's gonna kill me. I can't remember his name.
That's
But our
okay.
resident
The
Brits.
other
Yes, our
British person?
yes, yes. Oh my god, he's gonna kill me.
Mikey.
Mikey,
Mikey.
Mikey, yes, Mikey and Adam. I would love to team up with them.
Uh-huh.
Throw a little bit of Kyle into the mix. Throw a little bit of Velvet into the mix. Like I would want like one season where it's just all the cameos that we've had at different parts of like the story.
Ooh, okay.
Yes,
Oh my God. That would be amazing. I like that. Okay. Okay.
like that would have to be
So,
like like the series finale where it's just like everybody just comes back and then like they have like 5 minutes 6 minutes of time and then we just like that's it, like everybody's there.
mhm, I like it. I like it. Okay. Next question. Is there a situation where a grenade isn't the best answer?
Never. Next
Okay,
question.
that's what I thought. Yeah, right. Let's see. Mark wants to know what is the inspiration behind his favorite character playing a character, Primrose Ashadeer.
Oh my god. So Primrose Ashideer is so how do I say this? One of my favorite characters in any video game series that I've ever played is what's his name? He's the Inquisitor in Vermintide. Um let me get his name real quick.
Uh-huh. You don't have real quick. We have 5 minutes. The guy in Vermintide. The gal in Vermintide, the person in Vermintide.
Let's see. I can't remember his name, but Saltspire. Yes, Victor Saltspire. Um, I love that character. He's like basically a human inquisitor in the Warhammer 40 Warhammer fantasy series Vermintide, and I loved that voice and character so much that
Mm-hmm.
and it's also one that I can actually mimic pretty well. It started off as that, and then I was just like, wait a second, there's so many different paths I can take this voice on that
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, what? I could do that with a scientist, right? Like, well, let me do that with Primrose Ashideer. And I was just like, well, you see. Um, so
It's
like,
fabulous.
yes. So Primrose Ashideer is actually an offshoot of Victor's Salts, my impression of Victor Saltspire.
I love that, which actually leads into our next question really well. Where do you find the voices for your characters?
So I find voices for my characters based off of voices that I may hear in film,
Mm-hmm.
video game voice acting, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, or there's also this exercise that I do where I kind of create an animal character in my head, start moving like that character. This is actually an improv like exercise too.
Mm-hmm.
You start acting, you basically start by walking around with your eyes closed. Then you start thinking of an animal, and then you start to think of like a humanistic start to think of that animal as like an anthropomorphic character, right? You start walking like them, and then you start to talk like them, or how they would sound, and that is how you can create
Mm-hmm.
a character right off the bat. So yes, those
I
are the
love
two methods
that.
that I use. Yes,
That's amazing. You are actually really inspiring me to try improv.
it's
Um,
it's a lot
it
easier to do than
sounds
people
amazing.
think. If you can hold a conversation, you can do improv. That's it.
Sometimes I can hold a conversation.
Yeah, I mean, like this is like you're able to handle me on this like live cast now, so like I'm pretty sure you
Yes,
can handle it. You can hold a conversation, you can do improv. That's pretty much it. If you can communicate, you can do improv.
I love it. I love. We're all gonna have to go do some improv classes.
Oh
To
yeah,
show
they're
like,
a lot of fun. They are absolutely a lot of
yeah,
fun.
sweet. Okay, if you could go anywhere in the world, where would it be and why?
Tokyo. I
Okay.
love everything about Japan. I love the culture. I love the language. I love like the food. And
Mm-hmm.
I like people would say like I wouldn't take it as far as I want to be Japanese. I
Right.
admire everything about that country.
Mm-hmm.
The media, because like I literally exclusively watch like anime now. It's just like my thing. Like they can
Mm-hmm.
take any combination of show, premise, object, and thing and turn it into the most serious and wonderful thing you'll ever see on screen.
There's a basketball anime that I just started watching with my brother. Like
Yeah.
it's it's a basketball club team anime,
Yes. And it's
but it's
freaking
so
amazing.
good.
It's
Right.
freaking
I
amazing. They
love
could
it.
take
I love it.
any concept and turn it into a masterpiece. And that is what I love.
Yes.
So yes.
It's so good. Okay. You're stuck between a rock and a hard place. What do you use? Coercion, athletics, or mechanics?
Well, talking to a rock isn't really going to help. Um, so mechanics.
Mechanics.
Yes,
Excellent.
mechanics.
Excellent. I love it. Okay. What's another short one? Where do you go to get away from it all? This was a good question.
Uh, so there's two places. One, where I'm actually recording this right now, which
Hmm.
is my little like office inside my 900 square foot condo. And then there is a coffee house out in Willow Springs, Illinois, that
Hmm.
I want to say I want to attribute my like social and like my social development to, right? And
Hmm.
if I need to get away from everything, that's the place I go. And I've known the owners since they bought the place. Like it's a second home to me. So yeah.
I love that. Is that the coffee house where you did improv at?
Yes, that is where I
Nice.
started. Yes,
Look at look,
that is
it's just
where
a beautiful little cocoon of development.
Yeah, it's
Stuck
called
with
the
you.
Ashbury Coffee House,
Mhm.
Ashbary.
Okay.
They did an episode of Toddlers and Tiaras there. So you might find it. Yeah, you
Oh, that's awesome.
yes.
Okay.
So like it's a well-known place, but it is my well-known place, and yeah, it's fantastic. It's just a great
That is
place, great people.
amazing. Well, Joe, unfortunately, we have hit 10 o'clock. So I'm going to cut us off. There's still some
Oh
more questions in
no.
the chat. I know, right? If you want to go back and you want to answer them on the Behind the Mask on the Discord, you can certainly do that. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, feel free to join our Discord. It is absolutely amazing. It is Nightcast Creative on Discord. So yeah. But we for everyone else who is here, if you all want to continue to hang out, which I will for just a moment, flip on over to the general chat. But we're gonna smile real big. We are gonna be on for next month, and I can't remember which one of you amazing people is going to be on here, but we're going to drop it in the Discord chat and you can see that. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for talking to me. This was an absolute blast. So, friends, we'll see you next time on Behind the Mask. And now we smile and hold it.
It was a pleasure. I had so much fun.
Me too.